She's been here long enough now, I reckon, to get this. Sienna. We couldn't find one called Sienna, so we just have to make it up as we go along. So every time you're on now, we're going to do that, and Rob and I are going to scream Sienna over the top of Vienna.
No, you're going to scream and I'm going to sing it.
Oh, okay. Good morning to you, Sienna Mannix.
Good morning, gentlemen. My, what a way to be introduced.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very special.
Not everyone gets us singing at the start of their interview.
I didn't know that was coming, but I'm impressed.
Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah, very good.
So at 9:15, welcome to you, filling in again for Elise. Good morning, Elise, if you're having a listen. She's off doing some other things.
Before you get going, Sienna, I'm going to give Neil the opportunity to, this is about women's sport, and I just want to ask Neil the question. Tell me, Neil, do they play cricket at Buckingham Palace?
Yes, they do.
Do they?
Yeah.
And how would the game start over there?
He's working beautifully on this. I think Prince Charles bats and Camilla Parker bowls.
Oh, that's a very good idea.
Thank you very much.
Well done.
Yes, it's an oldie but a goodie. And Sienna's going, I don't get it. But that's okay. Women's sport.
I wasn't saying anything.
No, fair enough. So what's going on?
So I feel like we've got to start with the obvious. On Wednesday, Ash Barty announcing her retirement from tennis.
Really?
Yeah, in case you've been living under a rock.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, she announced it via Instagram, and it's taken the country a little bit back, just unexpected. She's sitting at the top of her game. She's been world number one for 121 weeks, and that's the fourth longest in the Women's Tennis Association tour history. So it's just sort of come as a surprise, I think.
Yeah, it's winding the clock back, because when I was a young chap, it was quite common for elite sports people to retire at very young ages, particularly in the football world. Going back even earlier, a lot of people would leave the highest level to go coaching for a quid in their mid-20s. But when you're earning potentially $3 or $4 or $5 million a year, it's unusual that a 26-year-old would leave the game at the height of their powers. So it was pleasing in that regard that it means, there's something else in the world means more than just travelling around the world making lots of money in a lifestyle that we think is glamourish, but it clearly isn't.
Well, particularly when you're stuck in a room for quarantine purposes over the last couple of years.
Yeah. It'd be a tough lifestyle, basically living out of a suitcase, travelling all over the place with an entourage.
Yeah, it wouldn't be easy. It definitely wouldn't. And I think that's just one thing that Ash Barty does so well, is she's made the sport and that sort of lifestyle seem not so glamorous. She's been honest about it, and she's really made it clear to young people what they're getting into. And I admire that about her.
There's an interesting thing I saw this week which pleasantly surprised me. I had to go to a function at the Moriac Tennis Club. And I arrived a little early, and that the tennis coaching was going on, and there was 3 of them, and I reckon about 40 kids. Now, tennis is a sport that was very popular years ago and then has disappeared off the scene, but I reckon almost single-handedly between Ash Barty and that other lunatic who plays on the men's side, allegedly, have probably given the sport a bit of prominence again, and I hope that her leaving doesn't stop that wave that's come back.
Yeah, no, I definitely don't think so. I feel like the impact she's had on the sport and other sporting ideas, it's just too strong to just disappear now. I know she's previously stepped away from tennis. I think she was 18 when she first stepped away, and I think she took off, did a bit of cricket, and then came back to tennis. And I just know that obviously back then she didn't have the name she quite does now, but it's still, I don't see it disappearing anytime soon. I
think the thing though, Sienna, you don't remember this, I don't remember, I've read the history books, in the late 60s, early 70s, when Ken Rosewall, John Newcombe, Tony Roach, Neil Fraser, these guys were all really top of their game Australian tennis players in the men's. In the women's, you had Margaret Court, you had Yvonne Goolagong, then Corley, and a number of others. When one of them gave it away, there were others sort of stepping up behind them. There doesn't seem to be an Australian female tennis player that even is close to her.
No, I mean, not at the moment, but I suppose by her stepping down, it's given that space that somebody's going to step up and sort of fill a position. So maybe it's just giving those younger players a drive to do so.
Now, the next question, of course, and rumours flying around everywhere, what's the next stage of her life? The three, one a little tongue-in-cheek, she plays golf off 8 and loves it, and someone suggested she'll probably spend 12 months getting better and then just become a professional golfer. Some thought that she would go back to cricket, a game that she really loves, and with the rise of Australian women's cricket. And motherhood is the third, and I think most likely.
Yeah, look, when I first heard it, I think that was the first thought through my mind. But honestly, I think everybody's sitting back hoping to just see her out playing something involved in sports somewhere. It's just that sort of personality that she carries on and off the court that Australia really thrives for.
You know what? I'm going to put another one out there as a potential fourth option. I would not be at all surprised to see her playing AFLW football for Richmond.
Yeah, look, I know as soon as it was announced, the football crew were quite quick on social media to put up and say, Ash Barty, if you're looking, we're waiting.
I would not be at all surprised. She is absolutely passionate about footy, and in a sport that is like tennis, she's had the opportunity to carry on the good work of the Margaret Courts and the Yvonne Corleys and that. To be part of something that's so new, I reckon, like the cricket, I think she'd take that. The only issue for her would be she'd have to move to Victoria because she wouldn't play for a team in Queensland. You wouldn't have thought she's absolutely mad keen Richmond supporter. You would expect it. And you'd think Richmond would use it to their absolute, marketing advantage.
I would have thought, and I don't know how much time. If that is the case, then something must have been spoken about already. Yep. So you'd think there'd just be a little clear air time and then away they'll go with gusto by the start of next AFLW season.
Because the good thing from that is she also wants to do some stuff with her Indigenous heritage and to be able to do a sport that only takes up 6 months of her year rather than cricket, which would take her around the year. Tennis would around the year. It gives her that chance to do that as well. That's just, Well, from the same man who said last year Richmond wouldn't make the top 8 and they laughed at me. So, Speaking of footy, what's going on in the AFL dub?
It was announced this week that the AFL Women's would play the first ever match at the MCG for the prelim finals on April 2nd. Honestly, when I first heard that, I couldn't believe that they hadn't already. And it's taken this long.
So they're playing the preliminary finals, plural? Doesn't Adelaide host one of them?
Adelaide Oval will play... the Crows and Dockers will play there.
Right, okay, so they will have... So if Melbourne are already through, so Melbourne will host either Brisbane or Collingwood on the MCG, and the other one will be at Adelaide.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I thought when you said that, I thought they were bringing both of them to the MCG. No, don't be sorry, wouldn't be a surprise. It's an interesting one you and I chatted about during the week, that with finishing first or second, you get that week off, which is a massive advantage for you. With the COVID delay... caused by Collingwood not being able to field a team last week. That team, like Melbourne in that situation, have had 2 weeks off. It's going to be interesting to see what impact that's going to have on their ability to front up and play a game of footy against either Collingwood or Melbourne next week.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other teams will all be quite aware of that and probably trying to work that to their own advantage. But it could be a positive, it could be a negative. It'll be interesting to see what way that goes.
The final will now be played the 9th of April then, will it? Is that the plan? And again, that's impacting more into the AFL season. Is that a good thing, or is that diminishing the brand a little as the AFL starts to gain more momentum with the supporter base?
Look, I think everybody sort of haven't even considered that side of things with the COVID rules and having to move games. I think people are just more concerned about the welfare of the players and making sure that everyone involved kept safe. I don't know if anyone's too concerned about dates having to change.
I think too also, if Adelaide beat Fremantle, you tick that one off. If Brisbane gets through or Collingwood gets through and beats Melbourne, then Adelaide will host the grand final. And I would think if Adelaide's got the grand final as a home game, I reckon it will be a massive event in Adelaide as it was last year and the other years they've had it. If Melbourne gets through and they play the grand final on the MCG and there's 8,000 people front up, it won't be good.
No.
It would be my sense.
And does Adelaide, for obvious reasons about so much activity in Melbourne, does Adelaide give the opportunity then to maybe even have a double header arrangement where the AFL is the curtain raiser to the AFLW grand final and get the stadium full and hopefully keep it full? I don't know that they could pull that off in Melbourne, but it would work in Adelaide.
Yeah, absolutely it would. Yeah. As long as Adelaide has a home game that week. Because if Port Adelaide's got the home game, I don't know that the Port Adelaide supporters will stick around.
No,
except to throw rocks and barrack for the opposition. What else is going on, Sienna?
Alan McConnell has announced he will not be coaching GWS next season.
Wow, that's a big call.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I know I have heard whispers that the club are trying to still keep him and just give him a different role and he'll still be working with them, but that one, again, surprised me.
What a great journey in football that man has had. Spent a lot of time at Cardinia Park, highly rated in the Geelong coaching staff, and has gone off to Sydney and made a name for himself as well, and he'll certainly be in the system somewhere. So you think if he's leaving that, he could be going back into the men's footy or perhaps even going to coach. Is the Sydney Swans have an AFLW team yet?
Yes, but Scott Gowans has got it.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
No, you won't get that gig then.
I think I'm right in saying that Alan McConnell, I stand corrected even though I'm sitting down, that Alan McConnell, I think, is the only person to have had a men's AFL coaching gig and a women's AFLW coaching gig as the senior coach. I know a few of them have been assistant coaches.
Yep.
I think you're right.
Because he coached Fitzroy in the last 2 years that they were as Fitzroy.
Yep.
He coached our last game.
Yes, he did, and he's a very, very highly rated coach. One of the moderately good player, but particularly good coach.
Footscray, wasn't it? Did he play for?
I think he might have played for the Fitzroy Football Club.
Yeah, but I think he started Footscray.
Did he?
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. Well, that's a big surprise. And there's no whisper as to who's taking over.
No, have not heard anything yet. Hopefully something will come out shortly.
Because you would hope that there are now some female coaches who could step up to the plate. Greater Western Sydney has a brand that is established.
Yeah, you would definitely hope that, and I know that that's what the AFL Women's are trying to do, get some more female coaches in. So it'll be interesting to see who's brave enough to step up and follow him.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's been there since the start, I think, hasn't
he? Yes, he has.
Yeah, wow. Well, Sienna, we are coming to the end of our time together again, so we are going to bid farewell and send you on your way. There is a new website that is in the process of being built at the moment for you. Do you want to give it a plug?
Oh, look, I think I'll leave it to you, the professional.
siennamannix.com.au. To be fair, it's still a little bit of work being done on it to finalise it. He said going nudge, nudge. But yes, let's get onto there and have a look at some of the great work that Sienna has done and will continue to do. And if you can find her on Facebook, go and like her Facebook page. Sienna Mannix is what you're looking for. It's got a big sort of brightly coloured S and M logo.
Good luck, young lady. We'll be talking to you soon, and hopefully we'll see a little bit of your work with a typewriter as well.
I look forward to it. Thank you, boys.
Thank you, Sienna. Sienna Mannix there doing what she does best in terms of her journalistic